all. Welcome to today's Cancer Healing Journey Talks. Myself, Annie Jose from Community Outreach Team of Zenonco.io and Love Heals Cancer. Cancer Healing Journey Talks helps cancer survivors and caregivers to share their journey with vast number of survivors and caregivers who have traveled or been traveling through this journey. This can inspire and motivate them for their faster recovery as well. Firstly, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Dee Burrell. She is a breast cancer survivor. Welcome, ma'am. She is also a founder or CEO of the YU Breast Cancer Foundation. She also advocates for women's health, traveling worldwide to empower with her own personal story of resilience, celebration, and triumph, along with a message that focuses on renewing mind, body, and soul. Dee is also the author of the book named Open Up the Door and Let Me In, and the co-author of Living Your Vision and Purpose. Her journey has allowed her to be featured in both an AARP Life Re-Imagined and a Roche Pharmaceutical campaign. She's a 2009 Susan G. Komen Award recipient as well. I'm happy that today you are with us. So I'll be handing over the session to you, and then please continue, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to share my story. It's October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this is the month that I devote every day to share, encourage, and inspire someone that's going through cancer or a caregiver. But going back with my story, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. I had never been sick other than common cold, no major, health issues. And I had made a habit of having my mammograms, which I will tell you is so very important, men and women. Get your mammograms. For 10 to 15 years, I've been getting mammograms the end of December. And the reason I chose the end of December, it was the end of the year and starting a new year. But this particular year, when I had my mammogram, of course, it was normal. I did my mammogram. I worked at a school system, and I traveled to Mexico on vacation. And while on vacation, my phone just continued to ring, and it was a 609 number, and that happened to be the area that I lived in, New Jersey, and it was an office number from where I had my mammogram. And at that very moment, it was my first day on vacation. And I thought, am I going to just let this ruin my vacation? Because honestly, I knew what it was. I knew that family knew where I was. And the only reason I would be getting this call was simply because something didn't go well with my mammogram. And fast forward, my journey has been a lumpectomy, chemotherapy, radiation, and 3 years of clinical trial as a journey, truly a journey. But I am so grateful that all well, and I am cancer free. But I encourage everyone to take the time to learn your body. If there's something that doesn't feel right, get it checked out. And especially with breast cancer, sometimes you don't always know that right away. So the mammogram for me is honestly what is a big factor of saving my life.
So how did you manage your emotional well-being throughout your journey?
It was very tough because in my situation, I was 50 years old getting diagnosed with breast cancer. So you can imagine, my daughter is, is grown and have a granddaughter. And the first thing I thought of, like most people, when you're diagnosed with cancer, am I going to die? Emotionally, that was the biggest thing that was on my mind. I wanted to be here. I wanted to see my daughter grow up. I wanted to see my granddaughter grow. And to hear the words, "You have breast cancer," it's very devastating, very devastating. I think each person reacts to those words in a different way, but it's very frightening. So emotionally, I needed support. I needed to be around people that could support me and help lift my spirits, because there were moments that you sometimes you feel like you're just going in a depression because the word cancer, and it's very frightening.
So who was your support system throughout the journey?
My support system is my family.
Mhm.
I had, at the time, I was working in a school system in Princeton, New Jersey, and I was very fortunate to have someone to inform me about the Princeton Breast Cancer Resource Center. And I spent a lot of time in the Resource Center around other survivors that had experienced what I was just beginning to go through. And I find it very important to be around a support group, especially in a support group. These are people that, men and women, that know firsthand what you're going through. Because sometimes when you're talking to someone, and I can remember a time with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy was probably one of the toughest things I've ever experienced. I remember having chemo, and then the very next day, the next day I was okay. But maybe on day two, it hit like a ton of bricks. I couldn't even get up from my sofa in my living room and walk to the kitchen, which was not that far, without being exhausted. And it was a fatigue that I simply cannot understand. And I would have people to say, well, eat more green vegetables and drink more water. There was absolutely nothing that I could have done. And, to ease that fatigue from chemotherapy. So that was very, very tough dealing with the chemo. But I also knew that I was getting something that was killing the cancer cells. And at the same time, it was also killing the good cells. So it was a balance. But I chose to do that because I wanted to have the peace of mind, just knowing that, you know, if it's there, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to see, I'm going to do everything that I can. And I'm grateful to be here with you 15 years later from something that helped me. And can you imagine what it's like now? If my treatment was 15 years ago, imagine what women today, the benefit that they have with modern technology and more research on cancer. So I'm grateful for what I went through because, to be honest, it changed my life forever.
That was really inspiring, man. So did you try for any alternative treatment? I mean, like did you go for any treatments like Ayurveda, or did you look for any anti-cancer diet? So they do have this complementary therapies right now rather than allopathic treatment, and people do opt for naturopathy or something like that. So did you opt for anything like that?
Yes, I did. And I think, with modern technology today and spending time like with your oncologist, I always tell everyone that if you are going in a physician's office and you are being treated like a number at the deli line, the first thing I say is shake that person's hand and just say thank you for your time. But I need someone that's going to be with me and care for me, because you're going to be with that oncologist for quite some time. And for even now, although I live closer in the DC area, DC, Maryland area, my oncologist is in New Jersey. Because of my relationship with him, I travel once a year back to New Jersey for my follow-ups. So it's important with the technology and having physicians, oncologists that really care for what they're doing. It's not just a job. It is something that is deep and dear to their heart to help others.
How did you feel when you heard that you're cancer free? Can you explain that thing to us?
When I went into my doctor's visit and he checked all my test results, because again, I'll share with you, the audience, it's not just going for get your temperature checked. It is continuously mugga scans and, just, well, of course, blood work. And I mean full, complete blood work, just to make sure that everything is fine. And the day that he says, Dee, you are cancer free, I cried. I cried of joy because the journey was not an easy one, but I made it. And I promised my oncologist that very day that walking from this very moment, I will devote my life educating, inspiring, and motivating anyone that crossed my path. And that is what being a cancer-free patient does. I continue 15 years later, to be honest. I continue once a year to go back to my oncologist just to check to make sure that all is going well. And to be honest, just to go in the infusion room and just say hello and show someone that's going through chemotherapy that, look at me, I can smile. I've been there where you are, and just stay positive, stay around positive people, and just feel uplifted and knowing that, give it your best, give it your all. And I share with them, you are in one of the best oncologist office, so I'm not really worried about you.
Did you make any lifestyle changes after your treatment, after your cancer journey?
Did I make changes?
Any lifestyle changes? So did you make
Oh
it?
my goodness, yes. My goodness, yes. Number one, jobs. I, and I laugh with this because I know my journey and because I know that there were so many people that didn't make it to this point where I am. I no longer accept bad treatment. I will easily walk out and away from anything that is not bringing peace or adding peace and joy and tranquility in my life, because I realize that life is precious. Did I pay attention to that before breast cancer? Absolutely no. That was just going about life, having fun, just doing whatever. But when you hear those words that you have cancer and you have to go through a journey, when you come out of that journey, you realize that life is so precious. So I have made some very severe changes from moving from New Jersey to be closer to my daughter and my granddaughter, a big change. Not accepting jobs that are not fulfilling or good to me. And I've actually, eliminated people in my life that had been in my life for a long time. But you do make some major changes, and sometimes people don't understand why, but I'm doing it for me so I can continue to live, so I can continue to keep this smile on my face. So you do make some major changes in life.
What is your message to the cancer survivors and caregivers out there?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So what will be your message to the cancer survivors and caregivers out there?
My message is to live, love, and laugh as much as you possibly can. And surround yourself around people that care for you and people that are going to be there to support you. Because there's never a day that I don't think about breast cancer. There's never a day. I get a pimple on my arm, and the first thing I'm thinking, oh, please don't think this is cancer coming back. You always think about that, but you don't let that rule your life. I'll always be a cancer survivor, always. And there will never be times that I won't think about it and pray that it doesn't return. I just recently, I have a picture of a young lady that's in my home office. And we were traveling together and I met her in Switzerland. We were going to speak on a panel for a pharmaceutical company. And maybe about a year ago, I get a text that she had lost her battle. And it really touched me every time I walk in my home office that this lady was someone that we laughed together. We were together on a panelist, and she's gone. And this week, I get a message on LinkedIn to invite me to a celebration of life. And that person was the one who took me by my hand in Princeton at the Resource Center to help me try on wigs. And when I see these two people that I loved and adored so much, and I'm still here, I feel like I'm fighting for them also. I'm not just fighting for me. I'm fighting for everyone that has been a part of my life and have lost their life. And I'm fighting for you that are going through breast cancer to know that you have someone that is so willing to help you and support you in any way.
Thank you so much, Tim, for the valuable time. And I'm sure this session will really motivate people out there who have traveled or been traveling through cancer. So it was lovely having you here today. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You too.